when I was 7 years old. The very first comic book I ever bought was out of a 7-Eleven, and going to the 7-Eleven, my dad gave me $1 thinking I was going to buy candy. I wound up buying a comic book instead, a Spider-Man comic book, and that was the beginning of what would become a humongous hobby for myself. Tender age of 7. And at the time when I was picking up comic books, I was struggling reading the English language and speaking. And there was something about the picture with the word and being familiar with these characters that I watched on TV that really just gelled for me, and it was something that I could understand. It made reading fun for me, and diving into these adventures and just sparked my imagination. I find that comic books are grand educators outside of just myself with the English language. I mean, there's morality plays. You can learn so much about you can learn as much from, say, Moby Dick that you could from a comic book, in my opinion. But for me in particular, I mean, I'm speaking the language. I read novels, and that's not something I would have been able to do if it weren't for comic books. And if I was able to do it, I wouldn't have known how. Zero to Hero opened up in September of 2011. It opened with the release of the New 52 in DC, and we felt like when we opened up that store that if we opened up with the new big push for DC Comics, that would be a really good way for us to kind of get our feet on the ground and have a lot of these books and a reason for people to come in. A friend of mine that I've known for about a decade approached me about opening up the comic book store. That was something that over the course of time I decided I wanted to do. I didn't have the capital. I had a bankruptcy under my belt, and he had inherited a large sum of money and had no idea what to do with it. So he approached me, said, if we wanted to open up this comic store, and I agreed wholeheartedly. We started that process, I believe, the summer before September 2011, and opened up the store in September at a warehouse in Fullerton. It's where the Maverick Theater currently is. We didn't have a location. We were just we were going to be a bit of a traveling comic book store slash swap meet of sorts.
Well, Enrique called me one day and he said, I have this crazy idea, and that didn't surprise me. And he said, I want to open a comic book store and I want to have your beef jerky products in it. And I laughed hysterically. And that's essentially how it started.
At that point, I feel like we had a bit of a customer base where we could feasibly do a larger monthly rent situation. And so myself and the business partner, went from, getting all this paperwork, opening up at the Maverick Theater in September, to moving to the train station location in October. We were here roughly until after the New Year, and my business partner was starting to have a problem with the landlord. The landlord had raised rent on us, and we were supposed to pay the rent, the increased rate, the day that rent was due. All of us thought it was unfair, but my business partner thought that the landlords were trying to screw him over and just outright refused to pay, to the point where we got ourselves evicted, and then wound up finding another space closer to Commonwealth and Euclid, and that was a location that we would basically wind up cementing as the future home for Zero to Hero Comics. A very small store, but it was a store, and that is what we needed. As soon as we got the key, we were open in a day, and it was back to business. By that point, we had already started to have trouble, the business partner and I, between things that he was keeping from me, such as the inclusion of new business partners that I wasn't prone to know, not being able to look at the bank account to know what was coming in and out of the business, just a complete lack of communication altogether, and walked away from that business. And that was the last time I would be involved with Zero to Hero.
I always wanted us all to succeed together. That was very important to me. Once I realized that that wasn't going to happen, I don't know, I think I kind of emotionally shut down. So when everything happened and everything fell apart, and I realized I was getting stolen from by Enrique and I's other business partner, there wasn't really a lot of anger or anything, as I had just kind of turned it all off.
You know, opening Zero to Hero, I look back at those times and I think very fondly of them, just because we didn't know what we were doing, but we were just having such a good time. We were all very close friends, and all the other vendors were very close friends, and I felt such pride in doing something that I thoroughly enjoyed, and it was just the greatest feeling, just so proud, and looking at my friends and having them tell me that they were proud of me and my family, and everybody's coming in and just being surprised that this guy was able to open up a business that he said that he was going to try and do. So on hand and knees, I went back to the landlord of the Fullerton train station location and told him the situation that I was in. There was no interest from any other person or business wanting this train station location, but it was there. So he wrote up the lease, I looked it over, signed it, and as quickly as we could moved all the fixtures, all the comic books, everything into the new location, and we're business ready by 11 a.m. at the train station location, which has been our permanent location since. The dream lives on, and I am still just as proud of this business as I was when I first opened.
Enrique, as a business owner, is 1,000% improved from Enrique as not a business owner. Enrique, as not a business owner, was like your buddy that was like, oh, he's awesome, but he's still living at home, and we're not sure where his life's going, and do we have to worry about him in 10 years? But Enrique, as a business owner, is like, holy crap, this guy made his dream actually happen, and he is doing what he loves, and he's doing it his own way, and it's just incredibly impressive, and you wish that everyone could find their little niche the way Enrique has.
The feeling of success, people look at me differently. Some of my friends talk to me differently. I'm still the goofy guy that everybody remembers. I'm still that that greasy Mexican that everybody likes to kind of make fun of. But at the same time, there's a sense of respect from these people that I never really got respect from before. I haven't been open now a year and a half, and all pride aside, I love working here. I thoroughly enjoy interacting with the customers who I know most of by first name. Conversing with them, figuring out what's going on in their lives, has almost become, for me, in a sense, Cheers in comic books. You come in, you pick up your comic books, we'll have a conversation, and maybe you tell me something about your personal life, and I'll listen, and maybe I'll say something back that may or may not be something that you wanted to hear, but at least you knew I was listening. So there's a sense of love, there's a sense of success. I couldn't be happier. This has probably been just some of the best times of my life being here.